Our first reading this morning is from 2 Peter chapter 3, verses 1 through 13. This is now, beloved, the second letter I am writing to you. In them I am trying to arouse your sincere intention by reminding you that you should remember the words spoken in the past by the holy prophets and the commandment of the Lord and Savior spoken through your apostles. First of all, you must understand this, that in the last days scoffers will come, scoffing and indulging their own lusts and saying, "Where is the promise of his coming? Ever since our ancestors died, all things continue as they were just from the beginning of creation." They deliberately ignore this fact, that by the word of God, heavens existed long ago, and an earth was formed out of water and by means of water, through which the world of that time was deluged with water and perished. But by the same word, the present heavens and earth have been reserved for fire, being kept until the day of judgment and destruction of the godless. But do not ignore this one fact, beloved, that with the Lord 1 day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like 1 day. The Lord is not slow about his promise, as some think of slowness, but is patient with you, not wanting any to perish, but all to come in repentance. But the day of the Lord will come like a thief, and then the heavens will pass away with a loud noise, and the elements will be dissolved with fire, and the earth and everything that is done on it will be dissolved. Since all these things are to be dissolved in this way, what sort of persons ought you to be in leading lives of holiness and godliness, waiting for and hastening the coming of the day of the Lord, because of which the heavens will be set ablaze and dissolved, and the elements will melt with fire? But in accordance with his promise, we wait for new heavens and a new earth where righteousness is at home.
Second reading comes from the Gospel of Matthew chapter 24, and first 14 verses. If you open your Bibles with me, please, and we'll read it. Matthew chapter 24, first through 14. And Jesus left the temple and was walking away when his disciples came up to him to call his attention to his buildings. "Do you see all these?" he asked. "Truly I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another. Everyone will be thrown down." And Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives. The disciples came to him privately. "Tell us," they said, "when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of age?" Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nations will rise against nations, and kingdoms against kingdoms. There will be famine and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of the birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated all by nations because of me. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But the one who stands for the end will be saved, and the gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. A week or so before, I was invited to come and share the Word of God with you. I was studying about the second coming of Christ. And I'm so honored to be here today. This is my first time coming to your church and sharing the Word of God with you. And I'm delighted that we have a chance here to be in the house of the Lord. The topic of our subject today is the day of the Lord. Peter begins his ministry by speaking of the day of the Lord. He tells the crowd assembled on the day of Pentecost that sun will turn to darkness and moon to blood before the great and glorious day of the Lord. However, Paul adds by saying, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Acts chapter 2, verse 20 and 21. Now, there are about 100 verses in the Bible that speak concerning the second coming of Jesus. Jesus Christ promised that he will come back to his disciples. In the Gospel of John chapter 14, verse 3, we read that he's going to go away. He said, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in me. You believe in God. Believe also in me. Because in my Father's house there are many mansions, and I will go and prepare a place for you, and I'll come back to take you to myself so you could be where I am. So we know that Jesus is coming back. He told us that, he promised us that. Now remember one thing, that Jesus Christ never prophesied anything, simply because he was not a prophet. He was and is the Son of God, the Son of the living God. And he tells us, and when he tells us something, he tells us the truth. In our scripture reading, we read Jesus telling his disciples about the temple. And he said, not one stone will be left on another stone. And we know that just after 40 years of his ascension, the temple was destroyed by the Romans. And it still remained destroyed. And now the Lord is telling his disciples that he's going to come back. But we also know, the scripture tells us, that this time, his purpose will be different. His purpose will be different. The first time he came to save the world. He said, I have come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. In other places, he said, I have come to save and seek the sinners. And that was the purpose of the first coming. The purpose of the second coming is to judge the world. second coming involves judgment. Take heed that no one deceives you. Says Jesus. Now, just as there have to be certain conditions which have to be met before the first coming, there have to be some conditions which have to be met before the second coming. So the first condition is that believers must be vigilant. Believers must be vigilant. Take heed, no one deceive you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ. This is precisely what Peter is warning the church about. And we heard it in our first reading. He says, scoffers will come in the last days, walking according to their own lusts, saying, where is the promise of his coming? That is why I write to the Galatians, but even if we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel to you than what we have preached to you, let him be accursed. Galatians 1:18. And what is the gospel that Paul preached? He preached that Christ died for our sins, that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the Scripture. And that we find in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, 3 and 4. The disciples did not preach the birth of Christ. Disciples very seldom talked about the teaching of Christ. But what they preached was the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The message of all these disciples was the resurrected Savior. And Peter tells in his very first sermon after the Pentecost, he said, this Christ you crucified, but God rose him from the dead. Christ died on the cross for our sins, he said. He was buried, and then he rose again to do what? To reconcile us with God the Father. New Testament speaks of salvation, reconciliation to God the Father. New Testament speaks about salvation and reconciliation. The word atonement does not occur in the New Testament. Because atonement is something else. The message of Christianity is of salvation and reconciliation with God the Father. Now, the second condition is that believer must not be alarmed. First, he must be vigilant. Secondly, that believer must not be alarmed. And here we read, there will be wars and rumors of wars, nations against nations and kingdom against kingdom, pestilence, famine, and earthquake. But the Lord says, do not be alarmed. This is just the beginning of sorrows. Matthew 24, verse 9. Says, there will be great persecution. There will be great persecution. Now, some of you may not know that more people were persecuted and killed in the 20th century than all the previous centuries combined. The study for global Christianity tells us that 100,000 Christians are killed each year in the world through their faith. Every 11 minutes, a Christian is killed for his faith. The people here, of course, might not be aware of. 2 months ago, my own nephew was jailed and was killed under blasphemy law in Pakistan. He was only 36 years old. And he left behind a young wife and 3 young children. Jesus said that persecution will come. They will drag you in jails, and they will falsely accuse you, and they will kill you for my name's sake. But he also said, when people revile you and say all manners of bad things about you, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, because your reward in heaven is great. Then the Lord also said, false teachers will abound. Paul writes to Timothy, for a time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but according to their own desires, they will heap up for themselves teachers, and they will turn their ears away from the truth. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3 and 5. About a week ago, I was reading an article in Christianity Today. And I discovered that 75% of the mainline preachers, pastors, do not believe that Jesus Christ is the only way. That blew my mind. 75% of the mainstream denominational preachers do not believe that Jesus is the way. Now, if Jesus is not the way, then what are you preaching about? But this is what it is. Many false teachers will come, and they will not endure sound doctrines, but according to their own desires will heap up for themselves teachers, and they will turn their ears away from the truth. And the truth, my friends, is that Jesus Christ is the Son of living God. When he asked his disciples, what do people think that I am? And Peter answered, that you are the Son of living God. And Jesus said, yes. You have not said it by yourself, because this is what has been revealed to you by the Holy Spirit. And Jesus said, on this truth I will build my church. The church of Jesus Christ rests upon the foundation of the fact that Jesus Christ is the Son of living God, the only Savior in the world. And yet we are being told by all these preachers in the mainstream churches that Christ is not the only way. And I would like to debate one of those, any one of those. Why did I say that? And they don't realize that people like us who heard the word responded to the word. My forefathers from my father's side were all Muslims, and they converted to Christianity. My forefathers from my mother's side were Hindus, and they responded to Christianity. And because they respond to the call of Jesus Christ, it enabled me to come here and preach to you today about Jesus. The circle of the proclamation of the Word of God has come full circle. couple of hundred years ago, you sent missionaries there. They came to our countries. They lived in our villages. Their children lived there. They played with the youngsters in those villages. And they preached that Jesus Christ is the Savior. And when our forefathers saw the lights, saw who Jesus was, they came. And what happened that in countries like Pakistan and Egypt and other countries, Presbyterian Church became the largest mother church throughout all of the Muslim world. The Synod of the Nile was the second largest synod in the entire Muslim world. Presbyterian Synod in Pakistan was the largest. There was a time when preached that Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light, and nobody comes to the Father but by me. We don't hear that these days. We don't hear about the second coming. We don't hear about that He's coming to judge the world. We hear a lot of other philosophies and theologies and so forth and so on. And what Jesus said, the tree which does not bear fruit, what happens to it? It is good for nothing except to be cut down and burned in the fire. And my favorite what would they call it? Jesus talked in parables. My favorite parable. He says a man planted a nice field. And he put nice seed there. And the disciples came and told him that there is something going on in the field. And he said, with those nice seeds, something else is coming up, thorns and thistles. And they said to the master, should we go and pluck them out? Jesus said, no, leave them alone. I will take care of them myself at the end. Jesus will take care of the thorns and thistles which had grown into the church at the end himself. It's a very stern warning to the church. And yet, no one really cares. Paul says, the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but according to their own desires, they will heap up for themselves teachers, and they will turn their ears away from the truth. We see that happening. We see that happening every day. But then what happened? Jesus promised also something. He says, who endures to the end will be saved. Matthew 24:13. Peter challenges believers by saying, therefore, since all these things will be dissolved, what manner of persons you ought to be in holy conduct and godliness? That's the question Peter puts before the people who were going to read his letter. He said, all these things are going to happen. You'll see all these signs and persecutions and killing and nation against nation, and their people will change their beliefs, they'll go after the false doctrines. But you, what manner of persons you ought to be in the holy conduct and goodness and godliness? That's the question. The scripture is asking the same question to us today. That in the light of all these things which we hear and which we see on television and all over the place, what kind of believers we are going to be? He goes on to say, be diligent. Be diligent, be found by Him, meaning Jesus Christ, when He returns, in peace, without spot and blameless, looking for and hastening the coming of the Lord's day. 2 Peter 3:11 and 14. And my favorite verse in the Bible, since I was a child, is found in Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you what? I'll give you the crown of life. In spite of all these things which we hear, in spite of the new doctrines which stand against the teaching of Jesus Christ, in spite of all the turmoil, not only in our churches, but in our nation and the world, we must stand blameless and without spot, hearkening on the true doctrine, knowing what the Scripture says. We have no choice. We can't pick and choose. Lord Jesus is coming. Now the third condition is very interesting. Do any of you know when Jesus Christ is coming? Can you predict? Well, you will hear a preacher today for the first time who will tell you when the Lord is coming. You've never heard that before. I'm going to tell you when the Lord is coming. If you open your Bibles, please. Turn to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24, verse 14. Would anyone please read it for me? Matthew 24, verse 14.
And this good news of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the world as a testimony to all the nations, and then the end will come.
That's it. That is when Jesus is going to show up. And in the last 2,000 years, we haven't done that. Christianity is a failure outside of the Western civilization. In Southeast Asia, missions have been there for over 200 years. But those countries remain unevangelized. Nobody had heard about Jesus Christ. A few years ago, I was going to go and attend the World Council of Christian Churches meeting in Australia. And I had a colleague with me, and we stopped in India. And there we were in New Delhi. And lots of people there. And we had left Sunday afternoon after hearing a sermon after the second coming of Christ, the second coming of Christ. So I said, John, do you know Jesus is not coming back? He said, what's that? I said, just enjoy it. Enjoy Australia and have a good time. He said, why? I said, look at all these people here. He said, yeah. I said, how many of these people have heard about Jesus Christ? And he looked up and looked at the crowd. They were like ants coming out of the woodwork. And he said, maybe none of them. I said, that's why Jesus is not coming back. We have not preached the gospel. We have not reached out to these people. other issues. I was specifically told by one of our top officials in Louisville that we don't evangelize. We don't evangelize anymore. And the Bishop of Newark, New Jersey, Anglican bishop, told me several years ago, he said, Emmanuel, I go to a Buddhist temple, and when the smoke from those lights go up, I know that my prayers are being heard. Then the gospel shall be preached to every creature. God is a merciful God. He wants all to be saved. He has created them all. Until at least we do that, till at least we preach that. And Jesus said, there are other sheep which are not of this sheepfold. I must bring them in also. Did he say that? He didn't say it. He said it. And he gave us the responsibility to go after those sheep. A few years back, I was doing a seminar on Muslim evangelism in China. I was invited there to do so. And I realized that Chinese churches have trained over 100,000 missionaries to go into the Muslim world. And I asked them, I said, is it dangerous? They said, yes. But we are convinced that the Lord Jesus Christ has spared the Muslim world for us to evangelize. And many of us are not coming back. But we are going. Then the gospel of the kingdom of God shall be preached to every creature. Then the end will come. And we are not hastening to do that. There were times when in our denomination we had almost 3,000 missionaries. Today we have less than 1. We don't preach the gospel. Our missionaries are not missionaries, they are fraternal workers. And some of the missionaries that I know of in my own country, they belong to the 5-star hotels, clubs for swimming and other things. And who has taken over the villages, the towns of Christianity in Pakistan and India? The Pentecostals. The mother church, the Presbyterian church, is almost finished. You know, when I was a little kid going to the Sunday school, I knew where the headquarters of the Presbyterian church was, and many of us knew. 475 Riverside Drive, New York, New York. Remember that? I knew that as 6 years old in Pakistan. We used to go to church so we could get a seat. Everything I know about the scripture, as far as the names of the people, the names of the books, the Apostles' Creed, and all that, I learned it in Sunday school. And I can still recite it in my own language, which I have not spoken for the 55 years that I have been here in the States. We don't do that anymore. And the commandment is, go into the world, make disciples, and teach them all things which I have commanded you. The teaching has gone. We don't teach our people anything about the scripture. Teaching is the most important. The first responsibility, the primary responsibility of the church is to preach the gospel. To preach the gospel. Everything else is secondary. Then the gospel of the kingdom of heaven will be preached to every creature. That is the key. And until that happens, happy holidays. We got to get behind that effort. We got to get behind the mentalism of the world. We are told, well, they have their own religion and let leave them alone. They're right, we are right. Let's live peacefully with each other. That's not what Jesus said. That's not what Jesus said. You said, go into the world. I have sheep there which are waiting to listen to my voice, and you hear my voice and go get them. Isn't that what he said? If I say anything which is outside the Bible, let me know. You want the Lord to come, support the missions. Support the proclamation of the gospel. Have people to know who Jesus is. And I can tell you stories after stories after stories of those people who heard the gospel and put everything on the line for Jesus Christ. I know them personally. And I'll tell you just one story and I'll just end with that. When I was a kid, I used to see this lady, very thin, very frail. I was wearing white sari, and she had Bible in her arms, and she would go house to house and speak to the women in the name of the Lord Jesus. And a few years back, maybe 10 years, 15 years back, I went to Pakistan, and I visited the grave of my mother and my father. And there, next to them was the grave of this lady, and tombstone read, Mrs. Jialal, the wife of Maharaja Ali Jialal, and the first cousin of Jawaharlal Nehru. Now maybe some of you don't know what that is. During the independence of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, with Gandhi, and with Maharaja Jialal was very active in the independence. And Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister of India after the independence. And this woman was his first cousin. And she was married to Jawaharlal, to Maharaja Jialal. So I was on a bicycle, I went back to the local pastor, I said, this is what I read, please tell me what's going on. And he offered me some coffee, and we sat down and started talking about Mrs. Jialal. And she said, here was this lady who was a Hindu lady. She was the wife of one of the most strongest Maharaja in India. She was the first cousin of the first Prime Minister of India. But in a state dinner, she met a missionary. And there she was introduced to Jesus Christ. And lo and behold, she declared that she's Christian. And they all got married. And she escaped from her palaces. She went to a city called Gujarat in Pakistan, where we had a Presbyterian mission school for the girls, and she hid herself there. And then came the partition. Then we had India as a country and Pakistan as a country, and Mrs. Jialal was safe in Pakistan. And from there she came to my hometown, and there she taught Bible for the rest of her life. Go and make disciples. Christians are born every day. Jesus doesn't want Christians, because Christians don't have the conviction. Only the disciples have the conviction to lay their life on the line for Jesus Christ. Go and make disciples, and then do what? Teach them all things which I have commanded you. You want the Lord to come back? You want the Lord to return? You want to be in His company? You want to go to the heavenly places that He has prepared? Proclaim the gospel. There's no other way. Proclaim the gospel. Tell the world that Jesus is the only way. Jesus is the only way. None other. That's right. Dear God, our Heavenly Father, we are so grateful that you sent your Son to give us life eternal. By His death, save us from our sins, and by His resurrection, reconcile us to you. Thank you for this time which we have spent together to share your word. Bless this word, and as you go out,